Great to have you back on the show, Eiad. You've got a new short that I want to talk with you about. First, I want to catch up with the last one we discussed when you're making the short case for a restaurant owner, Middleby, before this thing ramped with the rest of the market. So is it even a bigger short now? How has the reopening trade made this company run?
Yeah, obviously we've had an extremely speculative Fed-induced rally, and that hasn't worked in our favor with our position in Middleby. That said, it is an amazing short at these levels. We do expect the company to retrace, and yeah, I'd be a seller of Middleby at these levels, no doubt about it.
Eiad, I'm wondering, as a pro who does this, and you do deep research on these companies, we got a lot of viewers who are probably in a similar situation. We've got a lot of folks who are bullish as well on the market overall, but there's still a huge division where a lot of investors and pros too were short restaurants, short airlines. How do you manage a trade when it goes against you? Can you give me any insight as to how you handle that? Do you kind of do the reverse of dollar cost averaging, shorting it as it goes up? What do you do?
Yeah, well, hopefully in situations like this, you're not too concentrated, and you can continue to cost average as the thing runs against. So Middleby, it's one of those situations for us.
All right, I like it. Let's talk about what you're looking at right now, Enphase, ENPH. You've got a really detailed report here about the company, and what seems different from the Middleby situation, this is not necessarily like a macro misvaluation call. This looks like you're calling the stock basically a leadership situation in which they've had some questionable accounting. You're basically questioning the veracity of the numbers. Yeah, I am. In fact, as we state in the report, we think they're fake. We don't believe the numbers that Enphase is reporting. And in the report, highlight a plethora of inconsistencies in the financial statements, as well as highlight key aspects of the investigation that we've been running for very. Is there a what's the smoking gun here? Walk me through it, because I know you've got a chart that shows when they started offshoring some of the financial components that things really started to take off for the stock. Smoking gun is the totality of body of evidence that we present in the report. Again, it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that we highlight. For example, we ran a private investigation. We hired a very reputable global private investigative firm to chase a lead. Specifically, that lead was that former. Hey, I want to jump in real quick because I think we're having some trouble hearing Eiad. I'm kind of getting a stop and start from Eiad's audio here. I know we're looking at the chart that shows Eiad's point about offshoring being key to the growth in the revenue rate that really started to take off. I want to come back to Eiad real quick just to see if we can get you back here, Eiad. Go ahead and explain me through this. Yeah, sure. At the end of last year, we got a tip that Enphase had offshored key elements of its finance and accounting functions to India. We thought that that was extremely peculiar for a $7 to $10 billion company. So we hired a third-party, global, reputable private investigative firm to go interview former employees at their India base. And indeed, almost all of the India employees that we interviewed believe that the company's financial statements are fictional, and that the parabolic growth that we've seen in Enphase's revenues is not indeed real as we had suspected. Go ahead. Yeah, what is their explanation for the offshoring? We reached out to the company, no comment right now. I have no idea, but I'd be interested to hear what their explanation is. So does this mean that the entirety of the revenue has been falsified? How do you determine if there is something false being reported here, how much of it really is? Does it not matter? Are you saying that once it's discovered what they've been doing, that they should be delisted? Or are you just saying, hey, it's not worth nearly as much as the market's priced it at right now? Well, we derive an estimate of how much of their U.S.-based revenue is fabricated by citing the most trusted third-party data service provider in this industry. We get their, we using their data, which is essentially market share data,
We use that data to then back into a revenue estimate that would be more plausible were this company's financial statements not completely disconnected from reality as they have become. Using that data, we ballparked that about 39% of the company's U.S.-based revenues, which are the lion's share of the company's revenues, are indeed not real.
There's been a few analysts who have pushed back on this, other reports that have said the company's numbers can be explained. JP Morgan in a report said that investors can view the cash generation as an indication of true business trends. So how is there such a difference between what you're seeing and what the peers are seeing? Does this mean the company can they put out data points? Can they give you information that would clear up the subject, or is it irreconcilable, the numbers that you see from what they say?
What they should do is that they should rebut our analysis. They should show the market how we are wrong. In terms of the sell side coming to the company's defense, Oliver, this is the construct of our business. Anytime anyone issues a short biased research piece, the sell side comes to a company's defense. JP Morgan, you mentioned them. Enphase is a client of JP Morgan. Of course, they're going to stand by their client. But we see this every time we issue a short report. In 2017, we exposed a fraud called Celadon Group. It was a trucker generating $1 billion of revenue at that time. Immediately after we published our initiation report, the sell side came to that company's defense. That company unraveled after our report was published. They were all proven wrong, and we believe that that will happen in this case as well.
Now, one of the other things I see on your report that is pretty incredible is just the difference between the revenue growth versus the rest of the industry. I don't know about the other sell-side analysts, of course, but I will say that in general, that has been my experience as well. When you see a short report, that most of the street will come out and defend. So there's not anything particularly new about that. Eiad, last point here is how long can they go, basically? At what point does this have to, will it catch up to them in your mind?
Yes, of course. As you see, the target price in our research paper says delisted. We expect for this company to eventually be delisted. We expect it to meet the same fate that Celadon Group did meet, and that means regulatory investigations, a board of director, an internal investigation by the board of directors, and we believe that the auditor needs to reassess their blessing of this company's audited financials over the previous couple of years.